everyone. Today I wanted to go over the top 7 strategies that you should be thinking of or you should be implementing if you are a prepper, and especially a new prepper, someone who's new to this. These are strategies that I have learned about or just know because of common sense, but I am starting to implement them, and they are crucial to your prepper journey, and they will help you get to where you want to go faster. They will keep you safer. They will give you more confidence. It's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different things, but these are the top 7 strategies that you want to know and be implementing. And there is a little kind of like a bonus. It's not really a strategy, it's more of a mindset, an idea, but I have that at the end, so stick around for that. So number 1, and this one's pretty common sense, pretty basic, but if you're just getting started on your prepper journey, this is a huge one. You've got to remember that this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is a mindset shift for your life. But you want to, anytime you go to the store for your grocery shopping trip, even anytime you stop just to grab something for dinner that night, pick up a little something extra for your preps, for your food supply, for your long-term food supply. Every time you go to the store, pick something up. It could be something small. It could be a pack of lighters at the checkout lane. It could be a bag of rice or a couple cans of beans. It doesn't have to be expensive. It really doesn't. There's a lot of inexpensive stuff that you can pick up. But the idea behind this is that you make it a habit, and you do this consistently over time. And it will not take long, especially if you're putting some intentional effort outside of this into building your food stockpile or your preps, that this will add up quickly. But this is a mindset shift. But just get in the habit. It's a habit you have to develop. Get in the habit of every time you go to the store, you pick something up. Now that one's pretty common sense. A lot of people already know that. But again, a lot of this is for new preppers, and that was one thing that I hadn't really thought of until I got a little bit into this journey. And it's a habit that you have to develop. So buy something extra every time you go to the store. Number 2 is FIFO or FIFO, however you want to say it. Again, another common sense one. First in, first out. This has to do with your organization. Now, organization is key when it comes to your preps. I'm still working on this area. I'm not a naturally organized person by nature. I love the concept of organization, but it's not my natural tendency, and so I have to work on it. But especially when it comes to food, but with everything, with your bug out bag, with your plans, with your, whatever it is, but especially with food, if you're stocking up a lot of food, you want to have a first in, first out system, which means, you buy some cans, you put it in your pantry, and if you just stick it into the back of the shelf and then you keep piling new stuff in front of that, well, that new stuff you pile in front of that is going to expire later than the stuff in the back, and it doesn't make sense to use that first, right? You want to use the oldest stuff first. So you need some sort of system. Now there's a lot of can organizers or even other food organizers out there that you can buy or design and build your own. I think I'm going to probably build my own can organizer sometime, and I'll make a video about it when I do. But it's really important. Right now, my system is that I have 2 places where I keep my primary storage. I've got the food that I'm currently using, and then the food that is dated a little bit longer. Now it's all part of my. I use what I get, and I have a rotating system. So all my long-term stuff I'm going to be using as we go, and I'll keep replacing it. But I keep it in a separate pantry from our kitchen supply. The kitchen supply is always the most recent, or the things that are going to go bad or expire the soonest, if that makes sense. And then the longer term stuff is back in my other pantry. So that's my system right now. It's not the best, but it's what I have in the small space that I'm in. It's what works best. So, but you want to figure it out, whatever that looks like for you. So first in, first out, FIFO, however you say it. Number 3 is to apply or practice whatever you learn. Don't just collect knowledge. Don't just collect bug out gear. Don't just collect food. Use it. Use what you're storing and stocking up on and keep replacing it, rotate it. Get to know the gear in your bag. Try it out, test it out. Take it for a trial run. Take it for a bunch of trial runs. Plan a monthly excursion of some sort, or do something once a month where you try out something new in your bug out gear, or the if you've got a home defense system, test it, see if it holds up. So and that's the practical part of it, but I have a bad habit of collecting knowledge. I love reading books, and I'm working on doing a better job of applying it, because it's worthless, useless information if I don't do something with it, right? So again, another common sense idea, but this is so important. If something bad happens, and you've been bragging how I've got my bug out bag ready, and I've got all this food ready to go, all these MREs, and then you get down to it and you open your first MRE and it's disgusting. You can only eat a couple of them before your stomach starts turning, and it's just, you can't handle it, and it's not good, right? Or you go and you have to bug out and you grab your bug out bag and you go and you never tested something out and something wasn't as high quality as it should have been, or it's still in its packaging, its wrappers. I'm guilty of that. I've probably got a couple things that I just bought that are still in their packaging, that are in my bug out bag, and I need to go through it. And I'm going to do a video about my bug out bag here soon too. What's in my bug out bag. Partly because I need to do a review on it and see what gaps I need to fill, and also start testing out the stuff I have. So use what you get and apply what you learn, whatever that might be, in any area. That's just good for life. So number 4 and 5 kind of go together. Now they're similar, but in my mind they have some differences, and I'm going to do these pretty quick. But number 4 and 5 are the differences between having backups and having redundancies. They're similar, but number 4 is the saying 2 is 1 and 1 is none, right? So that's basically saying that if you only have one of something, and you don't have a backup for it, that's like not having it at all. If it fails you, or it breaks, or you lose it, or someone steals it, or whatever it might be, then you're done. You always need a second of whatever you have, especially the most crucial, essential items. And then number 5 is about redundancies. Now, in my mind, this is similar to backups, but different in the sense that you want to have multiple ways to do things, especially, again, the essentials. So, starting fire. You want to have a backup, and these can and they can kind of go together. So, like, your backup could be your redundancy, but also your redundancy could be different too. So, like, you could have 2 lighters, right? A primary and a secondary. That would be your backup. But a redundancy would be having a different way to start that fire. Flint and steel, or waterproof matches, or whatever it might be. And my suggestion is, and I made this up, maybe this is overkill, I don't know, but is that you have 3 different ways, or 3 redundancies for at least the essentials, whether that's shelter, water, purification or collection, fire, food, calories and nutrition, whatever that might be. You have 3 different ways of doing those or getting those. This kind of comes from an idea in the reading world where it's like, if you've read 3 books on any topic, you know 90%, or more than 90% of the general population, right? Like, it makes you basically an expert if you've read. And again, that's a rough number, but like, if you go out and read 3 different financial books, then you know more about finances than probably 90% of the people around you, the average Joe, right? So I kind of took that to more of a practical view, and then, like, if you have 3 different ways to start a fire, that can be your backup, but it's also redundancy. It's a different way, because you never know what your environment is going to throw at you. There's pros and cons for doing things different ways. So having redundancies. I won't say any more on that. Number 6 and 7 also kind of go together. These are more just ways to remember things and to simplify your prepper journey. And number 5 you've probably heard of number 6 is the 5 C's. And so this is to simplify your gear in your bug out bag, or especially if you're starting out and you don't know what to get, or you don't have a lot of money, or you haven't put a lot of effort and time into this really simplifies you on what to focus on, because there's so much you could do and so much you could buy. But the 5 C's are a cutting tool, combustion, cordage, a container for water, and cover. At least in your bug out bag, you want to have those. That will get you, the 80-20 principle. That will get you the essentials of what you need to survive. There's plenty more of other things that would be nice to have, or that could be really useful. But if you have a cutting tool, a way to start a fire, so combustion, cordage, so rope to secure things or tie things or set up shelter, whatever that might be, a container for water, because you need to water to survive, and then cover, way to shelter yourself. That keeps you alive, and that gets you a long ways down the road. So that's just like a starting point. And then number 7 is similar. It's the 4 S's, and this is more of like a big picture kind of view here. The 4 S's of prepping. Okay, 4 areas of focus, or the 4 pillars, or however you want to look at it. And that's stuff. So to put a focus on your stuff, prepping stuff. Skills. It's not just about your the stuff you have, right? Like I said earlier, you gotta be able to use it and know how to use it. So the skills to stay alive, and then smarts, so knowledge, and then the 4th one is spirit, or your mental state, if you will. It could be bigger than that too, and I'll talk about that in a second. So those are the 4 S's, so stuff, skills, smarts, and spirit. So those are the 7 strategies or tips, or just things to think about, especially if you're new to this, like me. Those have been really valuable. Those have kind of been like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. I need to apply that. And when I've started to apply it, it's really helped me simplify and focus in on how to move forward on this journey. So now the little bonus thing I want to talk about is related to that last one I said, the stuff, skills, smarts, and spirit, but it's just a different way that I think about it. So most preppers and people in this community focus on, at least it seems like, focus in general on the stuff, the physical world around them, and not just the stuff, but like your physical health, and the food, and the gear, and the bug out bag, and that's extremely important. You need that stuff. But that, and I might be a little controversial or challenging here. This is my opinion, and if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear about it. So please, talk about it in the comments, or whatever. But there's actually a higher level of prepping that's more important than the physical, than the stuff and the health and the food, and that's the mental level, and that has to do with how you see this whole thing, how you view the situation you're in. Are you mentally prepared? If you are not mentally prepared to go into an SHTF scenario, and you are ruled by fear or emotions, or whatever else it might be, or you don't have the mindset to persevere in times of hardship, then no amount of physical stuff, or it's going to take a lot of physical to overcome your lack of a healthy mindset. And this, again, goes for anything in life, but you need to have a strong mindset. I read a book by Lanny Bassam about, it's called With Winning in Mind. Great book, one of my top all-time favorite books. I'll leave a link down in the description below, but this book just talks about how the mental game is 90% of the game, of everything. The physical is like 10%. And how crucial it is to make sure that you are ready mentally. Now, in my life, again, I'm going to go a little bit even further here. That's where a lot of people stop. You got the physical and the mental. I take this to the next level, and this is because of my personal beliefs. But there's an even more important level, and that's the spiritual level, beyond the mental. But it's also the simplest one in my mind. Now, depending on what you believe, this might look different. I'm personally a Christian, and with that I have specific beliefs of the spiritual side of things. But in general, I think you can still think about why you are doing what you're doing. Why are you preparing in the first place? What do you believe? What do you believe happens after you die? Are you ready for that? We're all prepping on this journey, but at some point we're still going to die. That's like the only guarantee that every single human gets in this life. So you can prep as long as you want, but you're still going to die someday, right? Like, prepping doesn't stop you from dying. It might slow it down if things go really bad. So starting with the end in mind. That's another great concept from one of my favorite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Great book. But start with the end in mind. And that's really, to me, what the spiritual aspect of things is. Spiritual prepping is starting with the end in mind. End of your life. The end of this prepping journey. Why you're doing what you're doing. Knowing the answers to those questions and being clear and confident and prepared in those ways. Then you can relax and focus in more on the mental journey. And then you can focus in on the physical stuff. But again, in my mind, the physical doesn't matter unless you have the mental in place. And the mental doesn't matter unless you have the spiritual in place. That's the core, the foundation. So I'm done preaching. If you found value in any of this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see these videos. And hope you got something from this. Please comment down below if you have any more tips and strategies that would be useful. I'm still fairly new to this, and I'm trying to share the stuff that I've learned, but I am just soaking up the knowledge and soaking up the information, and I love being part of this community. So please comment, good or bad, whatever it might be, and I'll see you in there. So until next time, stay safe.